I'm George Dunlap. I have the privilege of serving as chair. So the first thing we're going to do is introduce the people who are seated around the dais. We'll begin to my right, beginning with our clerks.
Good evening. I am Christine Smith, clerk to the board.
Good evening. I am Alan Coleman, deputy clerk to the board. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Jarrell. I've been elected by the people of District 4. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Pat Cotham, County Commissioner at Large. Welcome.
Good evening. I am Elaine Powell, Mecklenburg County Commissioner for District 1, which is all of North Mecklenburg, and I also serve as Vice Chair.
And I'm George Dunlap again. I'm elected by the people of District 3.
Good evening. My name is Lee Altman, County Commissioner serving at large.
Good afternoon, Vilma D. Leake, representing the most powerful district in the county, and that's District 2. And I want to thank people of District 2 for getting the injections and being safe. And I had my flu shot this afternoon. I'm asking all of my seniors to make sure that you get your flu shots.
Good evening, I'm Laura Meyer and I represent District 5.
Good evening, I'm Susan Rodriguez McDowell, elected by the people of District 6.
Good evening, I'm Dina DiOrio, County Manager.
Good evening, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will turn to my colleague, Commissioner Lee Altman, for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. It's so lovely that I have the opportunity, all of us do, to bring diversity to our board, and so it's with pride and pleasure that I bring a prayer from the Sidur Lev Shalem, courtesy of Rabbi Wolk of Temple, Israel, a prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy, accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessings upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, judges, officers, and officials who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you have decreed so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. Adonai, God whose spirit is in all creatures, we pray that your spirit be awakened within all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant love and companionship, peace and friendship among the many peoples and faiths who dwell within our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly, and the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land. May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth, and may you cause all people to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall know me. And let us say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we get started tonight, I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing and why I'm wearing it. If you don't know, this is Niner Nation Week, where we celebrate we don't call it UNCC no more, we call it Charlotte University. And this week I kicked off our week of celebration with the Chancellor at the Square, and she has this dream of painting the city green. And so we've asked everybody to wear green all week. I see Gibby is wearing her green, whether she realized it or not. But we're asking everybody to wear green, and believe it or not, I have worn green every day this week. And so tonight I am sporting a green shirt and a green bow that was given to me by the former chancellor that has the UNC logo on it. But this is in support of my university, where I'm a double alumni, and also Commissioner McDowell is an alumnus of Charlotte University. And so we're asking all of you to join us in celebrating our homecoming. Homecoming football game is on Saturday, and there are activities going on all week long. So wear your green, come on out and join us. All right.
Go Niners.
So we have, that's right, go Niners. We have an item from our closed session. The chair will entertain a motion to authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute all documents necessary for the acquisition of tax parcel 139-411-04, plus or minus 69.283 acres from Bethel Church of Midland Incorporated and Little Properties of Midland LLC for the purchase price of $1,309,569.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? The ayes have it, and so carries the motion. All right, Madam Clerk, I want to confirm again, there are no awards and recognition tonight.
No, there is not.
There is not a public art moment tonight,
No, sir, there is not.
and there's no one signed up for public appearance tonight.
No, there is not.
Woo, what a night. All right, we'll move to it. I just want to confirm, yeah. So we'll move to our appointments. The first appointment is the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. There are a number of vacancies. Let's see. So an appointment is needed to fill one two-year term expiring June 30th, 2023. Tanisha Shaw is eligible for reappointment.
So moved.
All right, it's
So
been
moved.
moved for Tanisha Shaw to be reappointed. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, been moved and properly second. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it, so carries the motion. And there are appointments needed to fill 4 two-year terms expiring June 30th, 2023. Our nominations were made on October the 19th at our regular meeting. The voting tally sheet is
Next page.
the next page. So we'll need 1 from the business professional category and 3 from the general public nominees. They've already been nominated, so at this time, this is for the vote. So for the first round, business professional nominee, you each get 1 vote, and we'll just go in order. All those in favor of Jamal Briggs, let's see by show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. And for Gregory Lascelles, that's 1, 7-1. All right. The next is 3 for the general public nominees. You get 3 votes. Right?
That's good.
Okay, 3 votes. All those in favor of Nicole Beverly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. All opposed? No, not opposed, I'm sorry. All those in favor of Benita Camillo? That's 3. All those in favor of Stephen Richardson? That's 5. Stephen Richardson is appointed, as well as Beverly. All those in favor of David Spellman? That's 1. And those in favor of Virginia Sullivan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Nicole Beverly, Richard Stevenson Richardson, and Virginia Sullivan are all appointed to the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. All right. Next appointment is a 3-year term expiring July 31st, 2024 for the Realtor category. Jennifer York is eligible for reappointment, and there are no other applicants.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and so carries the motion. We need to fill one unexpired term expiring June 30th, 2024 for the Central Region 2 position. The board can nominate and appoint, is that
April Lewis.
April Lewis? That's a funny way to spell it.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Is April up there?
Yes.
Yeah, she's there.
April, what I'm talking about, how you spell your name?
APRYL.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, all those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All right, that is unanimous.
Speech.
No,
I will hold my position.
all right. So we have completed that item on the agenda. We'll move to our next item, which is
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
under the manager's report.
Manager's report. I have 3 items under the manager's report this evening. The first item is the adoption of the redistricting map, and I'm going to just turn that over to Tyrone Wade for just a little bit of a summary of where we are and what needs to happen next.
So, good evening, Commissioners. You will recall that this matter has come before the board on several occasions. At the last meeting, the board did a straw vote as to which of the 3 maps that had been presented based upon the increase in population within Mecklenburg County that the board would consider for purposes of redistricting to be in conformity with the law. And so you have before you tonight the resolution that the statute requires the board to adopt that would be presented to the Director of the Board of Elections. And there's one precinct that will be moved from District 2 to District 5 so that all our districts are in conformity with the One Person, One Vote Act.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so there is a resolution to adopt map A. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Bill Malik.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that I've been hearing from a lot of people, and I just wanted to speak to the issue of our maps and CMS's maps not lining up as some in the community would like. So I have heard from a number of people that they wish that the maps would align from CMS and the county, and I actually think that's a spectacular idea. But because it wasn't part of our initial parameters for how our maps were being drawn, that's at this point would be a real problem to change how our maps were decided upon. And so I just wanted to say that I've heard the community, and I wish that I had thought of that as something to have suggested at the time when we were creating our parameters, and I would have certainly put that in as a suggestion at that time. But anyways, I just wanted to let folks know that we heard that feedback, that I heard it anyway.
Commissioner Leek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me thank the young lady for her statement as it relates to the map for the county and the map for the school board. In previous years, we have had, the county and the school board have had the same areas that represented the people of Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte. there were no problems because we did not recently have the same areas, nor were there problems when we had the same areas. There was not the intermingling of the board, but there was a better, I guess because of the people on the board made it better because they communicated and was never told that we could not tell them what to do or how to do it within the realm of operating for the people of Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte. It has happened, and nothing negative came about it, and people had a right at that time to even come and view it, or view the schools and the county, and to see how it did work out. So it has happened that we have had the same precincts as it relates to the school board and the county. It has. And I would hope that if people are that concerned, that they would have talked to us as board members. The people that talked to me were concerned about moving a precinct out of District 2 into District 5, and they did not want that. But they felt for the betterment of the people and for the county and the city to move along and try to work together and make it work. And as they journey under the umbrella of District 5, that they will be good Democrats or good Republicans as it relates to serving the people of Mecklenburg County. So wherever we find ourselves, because I don't want them to leave me going to District 5 or any place else, because people feel comfortable with persons that they find themselves with. But we can adjust. We always adjust. I hear parents talk about when children are going from one school to another. Children have a way of adjusting, and we as adults who've been here and should know how to adjust working with other people, we will make it happen. So that's where I stand there. I still support map A for this county and this city.
Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say a couple things. I just want to go on record as saying that I think option C makes more sense. So I will vote against this resolution, but I will embrace whatever the board decides tonight. And knowing that this is most likely going to pass tonight, I've already reached out to the precinct. I've already reached out to find out who the precinct chair is, and I plan to make contact with them as soon as I can. I just want to reassure you that I will embrace the new precinct in my district, and I'm looking forward to it. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
That's what I said,
Commissioner Powell.
So thank you for bringing up the CMS matching the Board of County Commissioners districts, because it's my understanding that it was originally set up that way, that they were the same. And I don't know what happened. And I'm sorry that it wasn't part of our consideration, but it's my understanding that CMS can make that right. I think that they're looking at that. So I hope that's the case. I also have a preference for option C. I listened to the community input that was presented by Danny Deal. I listened to the League of Women Voters. I understand the rationale, and I have a preference for option C. And I do understand, my colleagues wanting the least disruption. I understand that and respect that, but I just wanted to state my position. Thank you.
All right. So let me just say a few things, and then we're going to move on. First of all, historically, the county commission and and the school board had the same maps. They changed during the last redistricting, where the school board chose not to adopt the same maps that the county commission adopted. My guess is that it's for some of the same reasons that some of us adopted the map we did. Has a lot to do with where people lived at the time who were on the school board. So they didn't adopt those maps. But they still have an opportunity to adopt our map, and we would not be opposed to that. The other thing is, and I'm real cognizant when we start talking about precinct chairs and things of that nature, then whether we realize it or not, we're bringing politics into the game, because that's not a part. I mean, that's, when people think about that, that's Democratic, or Democrats doing that. So if we could just refer to the constituents of a particular district as opposed to precinct chairs, because people tend to think that that's more about Democrats. And then the last thing is that when you look at the map, while map C looks good and it appears to be compact, the bottom line is, if you think about what was stated to us when these maps were first presented, Mecklenburg County grew pretty evenly all across the county. And it doesn't matter which map you adopt today, as people move into this county, they will change over the course of the 10 years. And so while they might appear to be nice and compact today, 2 years from now, they will probably look the way they look now. So hopefully that's some comfort in adopting what is before us. So at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt, I think it's adopt map A.
So move, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Leek.
Is there a second?
Second, Cotham.
Second by Cotham. All right, by show of hands, all those for map A, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is 7. All opposed? All right.
6.
6, I'm sorry, I can't count. 6 for, 2 against. All right.
That was 3 against.
No, just 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item, can I keep going?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item under my manager's report this evening is our COVID-19 update. I'm going to ask our Public Health Director, Gibby Harris, to come to the podium. And Gibby, I'm going to ask that you take your mask off so that people can hear you. People have trouble hearing with the mask on, so thank you.
You're welcome. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Manager Diorio. I do have a brief update for you on...
Get in it now.
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. On our COVID situation here in Mecklenburg County. So next slide, please. With our data, we continue to see a slow but steady decline in our numbers. You can see this with our number of cases continuing to drop off. Next slide, please. Our percent positivity rate continuing to drop off slowly. Next slide, please. And our daily hospital census continuing to drop off. All good news. Next slide. In terms of our schools, as you can see, we've had a number of schools that have had cases since the beginning of the school year. The good news is we've seen limited clusters in our school system. Right now we have 2 in elementary schools, 4 in some private schools, and 1 on a sports team. So that's much better than what we saw last spring. I think in some ways that's related to the number of children that have been able to be vaccinated, but also the fact that we have children wearing masks in school. Next slide, please. Our numbers in our children have seen a steady decline over the last 2 weeks. We've had a 32% decline in the number of cases among 0 to 17-year-olds. We'll point out, though, that of those cases, 49% of those have been in children between the ages of 5 and 11. Next slide, please. So I wanted to take just a minute to talk about where the public health guidance and where our recommendations come from. The CDC and the North Carolina DHHS provide guidance that we listen to and make decisions and recommendations on in terms of how we address this pandemic in Mecklenburg County. There are 2 metrics that the CDC uses to determine the level of community transmission in a community. The first one is the percent positivity rate. I think y'all are very aware of the positivity rate. What we look at is a 7-day rolling average of that rate, or at that positivity rate. And as you can see, as of the 27th of October, we're sitting at 6%, which is good. Our numbers have continued to drop slowly. We are in the moderate community spread category for the CDC guidance. But if you'll go to the next slide, the second metric is the case rate. So that's the number of cases per 100,000. And if you'll look at this, we are still in the red. We are still in high community spread. For Mecklenburg County, we are just on the edge of moving into substantial. What CDC does is they take the most severe of the two metrics to determine whether we fit in which category. So because our case rate is still in the red, we are still considered to be in the red for community transmission in Mecklenburg County. Next slide, please. And this is a map that is off the CDC website that shows that the majority of of North Carolina is still in the red. We have a couple of counties that are falling in the moderate category, and then there are a number that are in the substantial category, but the majority are in the red, including all the counties surrounding Mecklenburg at this point in time. Next slide, please. So the other thing that we look at is not just the metrics, but also the guidance that we get from both CDC and from North Carolina DHHS. So both of these face covering guidance was updated on October 2021, last month. So for the CDC guidance, they recommend that everyone should wear a mask in public indoor settings while communities are seeing high or substantial levels of transmission. And as I mentioned, for our case rate, we are still in the red. We're still seeing high levels of transmission in Mecklenburg County, although we're moving down slowly, and we'll probably be in the substantial area fairly soon. We still fit into that category where they're recommending masking for everyone indoors, regardless of vaccination status. And with schools, they recommend universal indoor masking of all students, ages 2 and older, based on the Delta variant and what we're seeing with our transmission in Mecklenburg County. For DHHS guidance, which is fairly new guidance that came out from them in the last week or so, we had, everybody's aware that the different counties across the state have done different things with masking in the schools, the recommendations, the requirements, all of those sorts of things. It's been all in the news, so I'm sure you're aware of that. And what the school systems asked is that the state would go ahead and put out some specific guidance so that we would not have these discrepancies across the state in terms of what's happening in the schools. So in terms of the general population, the state guidance is similar to the CDC guidance. In terms of schools, what they have put out is that face coverings remain a critical tool for protecting children and keeping them safely in classroom. So what their recommendations are now is in areas of high to substantial level of community transmission, universal masks are required in the school setting. Moderate level for at least 7 consecutive days. Consider masking optional for vaccinated children and staff, but require masks for anyone unvaccinated. And then for low level, for at least 7 consecutive days, consider mask optional for everyone. So again, this is where our guidance comes from and how we develop our guidance for Mecklenburg County. Next slide, please. Quick update on vaccinations. As you can see, for the last 2-week period up through the 27th of October, the majority of the vaccines that we have given, 72%, have been boosters. So we have seen a decline in first and second doses being given in Mecklenburg County, but we are seeing people show up for the boosters, which is good news. Next slide, please. This slide shows you in the yellow, 12, if you look at those aged 12 and up in our county, our total population is 937,616. In the middle column, you will see that of those, 72% have received one vaccine. So as of yesterday, all of those who are eligible for vaccine, which is 12 and over, 72% had received one dose, and the last column shows you that of all those who were able to be vaccinated, 12 and over, 68% of our population was vaccinated. That's good news. That's really good news. The other thing that I wanted to point out is there was a report from Bloomberg today, a new report that came out, that showed that Charlotte ranked 4th among cities with large black populations with residents who have vaccinated with at least one dose. So of all of those cities in the United States who are considered a city that has a large black population, we ranked 4th in vaccinations of that population. So I'm feeling we've got work to do. I'm not saying that we don't have work to do, but we have seen some major improvements. But then I'm going to show you the next slide, which shows our vaccinations since the beginning of availability of vaccines. And what you'll see, obviously, is the big spikes that happened right at the beginning when we had vaccines available. Then we saw it starting to drop off. And in the early days of July, we dipped, and then we saw a little bit of a bump in August when Delta was creating major problems for us in the community. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is it continuing to drop off. So although we've had quite a few people vaccinated in our community, we're seeing less and less of those unvaccinated individuals showing up for vaccines in our community. We are seeing people come in for boosters. That's good news. We've got the vaccine for our kids, and I'll talk about that in a minute. That's even better news. But again, we continue to have individuals in our hospitals, in our intensive care units, and dying from this virus who have not been vaccinated. And that's just a sort of a sad state of affairs, I think. So next slide. So just some quick updates with boosters. I think everybody is aware now that we have boosters available for Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J. For those who receive J&J, it's being recommended, all of those that are 18 and over, that they get revaccinated after 2 months of that first vaccine, just to make sure that their immune level stays where it needs to be. The other Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, the recommendations and the eligibility are on our website. We've talked about that before. For our children, we received 13,500 doses yesterday of the Pfizer vaccine for our kids. It comes separately because it's a different dosage. So that was delivered to us yesterday. Those were the doses that came into Mecklenburg County. We've been in the process of repackaging those and getting those out, transferring those out to others in our community who are ready to give vaccine. There will be a wave 2 of vaccine being delivered later this week, and all of those providers have been able to order more vaccine. So we won't receive the big boluses that we did this first time. But we do feel great that we've got this vaccine out in our community right now. So just a few quick updates. This is a vaccine that is 2 doses like it was for adults, 3 weeks apart. It's a third of the amount of what an adult would get, or anyone over the age of 12. But that has been shown to be 91% effective in children. So there is an event going on tonight. So we're getting the first doses out tonight. It's at one of the churches on Moorhead Street. On November 4th, which is tomorrow, StarMed will be giving vaccine at their locations all day. Our public health clinics will start giving vaccines at 12 noon tomorrow for children 5 through 11. And Novant will be giving vaccines at 2 of their locations. On November 5th, the same will be occurring. On November 6th, we have multiple sites in the county. We've worked with all of our vaccine partners, and we're making vaccines available to anyone 5 and older, and most of those sites will also have flu vaccine available. Those